Hello, hello, hello. And let's make sure that our mics are hot, and we are too. Live from Denver. It is Friday night. Hey, critics. Welcome to another edition of Critical Conversations, the show where you guys get to talk to us. Us being me and my beautiful wife, Melissa.
Hello.
So happy to have you here this week.
Me too.
Yeah, we are happy people. All right. Yes, there we go. Everybody in the comments. Hey, Christina. Hey, hun. Awesome, folks. Good. So, boy, we've got some things to talk about tonight. What a week. Boy, I don't know about you guys where you all are living, but I'm hearing and reading that it's hot out there. It's a hot
Very
summer.
hot.
This has been a tremendously hot summer. Did we hit triple digits today? Did you see
We
that?
were supposed to. I don't know if we did for sure, but I know it's supposed to get up to 100.
Wow. Yeah. Well, it was forecasted high of 97 today, which is hot. That's a hot temperature. That's Fahrenheit, of course. That's in the F degrees.
Oh my God. Yeah. If it was Celsius, that would just mean we blew up.
Yes. But it's the kind of weather that gets me pulling out my big yellow cup for flavored water rather than soda, because you all know I'm keen on soda, especially the CC brand, but I am not here to promote anything, of course, as always. Now, I see you guys in the comments.
I know they're demanding the puppy.
I see this. Okay, well, we're just going to have to get to it. That I sort of teased a little bit about that in my tweet about the show here today. Okay, so yes, I do have a little bit of a surprise for you guys, because now that we have acquired a new dog.
Yes.
I guess this is the announcement.
Yeah.
For this show, right? Because I announced him in
Alluded
the
to it
critical
last
Q&A.
week, yeah.
I showed y'all him. He is Benson, and in anticipation of the show today, we did get some video, and so since you guys are so demanding, we're just going to skip right to the punchline there. And this is our little guy. This is Benson. He is a 3-year-old Shih Tzu Ewok mix. Yeah. That is pretty sure. We're pretty sure that's the breeding on him. And you can see he's a little tiny guy. He's about 19 pounds, and he is a rescue. And we just got him today some of those, a whole bag of new Chewy toys for him to go to town on.
It was like 12 toys for under $20, so it's like less than $2 a toy.
Exactly.
We figured he'd like some of them, and so far he's kind of liked all of them.
Exactly. And yes, that handle does come in handy. Because we are still having to sort of reacclimate him to our home, and to the house training that he seems to have not had. So, or a minimum of, I guess I could say. So there he is. There he is. Okay, good. I was waiting for that part there. So,
hey, buddy.
Yeah. So that's our guy. That's the video I took of him today for y'all, so you could get some sort of see what he looks like, and this may be the return for not 7cam, but for Benson cam now is what that is. And so we're not going to do a live feed of him, of course, because he's just over in his pen right now, laying there looking pretty boring. But we will get some video of him, I think, on a weekly basis or semi-weekly basis, and show you guys our cute bundle of joy there.
Yeah, he's got so much energy.
Yeah, he really does. And he is
and he's a big lover.
Yeah. Oh, he loves everybody. He will instantly bond with you. And he's a rescue too. We know he came out of a hoarder house. One of his ears was clipped in a harsh way. We don't know what the hell this backstory on that.
And the other ear is there, but it's just a little piece of it is missing too. So
yeah,
someone was a total asshole.
Yeah, somebody basically was, and now that person's not in his life,
and
we are.
they're lucky that I don't know who they are.
Well, there is that too. Yeah, all we know is somebody over in Kansas, and who knows? Who cares? We're moving on, and Benson has a much better life now with us. So we are really just falling in love with him. I know I sure am. This has been. I know everybody. I don't know. I know. I'm 52 years old. I really am late to the game in so many things, and owning a pet is one of those things. I feel way behind when I say stuff like, "Oh my God, I never really got the love you can feel for a pet." Because when I was a kid, we had a couple dogs, and I liked those dogs, but I was also a little afraid of the dogs, or they weren't really my dog, and I didn't really think of them as my dog. And this one, he is ours, and it brings us together in a way that I totally didn't see coming at all. I mean, when you're united to deal with another living entity, and it's not, it's not a baby. I'm not even like making that comparison. I know people get really annoyed at that.
But if it's this exhausting with a dog, I can't imagine those of you that have had babies.
Right.
Oh my God.
I mean, my goodness, right? So, thank you for that comment there, Lyle. That's a very nice comment of yours there. I am very happy you found the channel and that you are getting something out of it. So yeah, exactly. The entire house is a chew toy, by the way. Yeah,
so
we
far.
have. Yeah, so we have been helping him to understand what the boundaries are, and also, like with other things, you have to kind of baby-proof the place. The floors are now clean. There's no clutter anywhere. I mean, we really had to tighten the ship up a bit because he'll just put anything in his mouth.
Yeah, you got to hide your shoes.
Yeah, shoes, slippers.
Already had one pair of flip-flops destroyed, but at least they were like the cheapo $3 ones. But
thanks for the offer, Red Pill. I think I'll pass on that. Okay, so anyway, so we've been having a good time with him. So that's our little intro here with Benson, our new member of our family. Really, is that's kind of, and it was, it really did feel quite amazing to be with her and him and be just kind of sitting there and thinking, oh wow, this is kind of what that feels like, because I have a son, but I didn't raise him. I wasn't there for that. And that is my big regret in my life, is that I wasn't. And so this will be a substitute late life experience, whatever you want to call it, for that. But Benson is just great. And we really are loving him to death. So, all right. Okay, their pets are better than kids.
Yes,
it's legal to have them neutered. Oh, funny. And yes, I have to comment. I don't know if this was in the comments there, but we have to mention at the get-go here, because this is something I have been railing against for years, our good friend Alex Jones. Boy, did he find himself in some hot water this week. Briefly, lightly touch over this story without going into all the detail. Sandy Hook parents were called out by Alex Jones on his show multiple times as crisis actors, and that they had never lost any kids and that no kids died. And this was all just a big fake false flag operation to take away our gun rights and all this other nonsense that Alex Jones feels free to tell bald-faced destructive lies from his platform, and has no scruples about that whatsoever. If it bleeds, it leads, and if he thinks it is sensible to say, whether it's truthful or not, whether it has any basis in reality or not, he will say it, and he makes a tremendous amount of money. We are talking about, apparently, to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars, by selling survival gear and supplements and things that gullible people will buy in order to feel safe.
Yeah.
And his videos and DVDs, which are all nonsensical. And I know because I used to watch them, right? And as a Sea Org member in that conspiracy mindset, I was all in. And I really, really have axes to grind with conspiracy theorists' channels and big platform conspiracy guys, because they feed their base on a steady stream of lies. And I just don't happen to think that's okay. And in this particular case, he wasn't just telling some lies. He really crossed every line of decency, morality, and his viewership then started harassing and stalking and calling and threatening these parents, these tragic parents who had lost their kids who went to school one day and didn't come home. That is, I can't think of a worse thing to happen to a parent. I literally can't. I mean, other than your kid dying right in front of you, I can't imagine something worse than sending your kid off to school and they don't come home. There's just no words, right? And we all know how tragic that is. So for this, profiteer to profit off of that, off the backs of these people by telling vicious lies about them is unconscionable. And that's my position on it, right? And so I've been against this guy for a real long time. I don't like liars. And I do my very best as a content creator and have for many, many years to be as honest and truthful and fact-based and evidence-based as I know how to be. There have been times where I've gone on rants and said things that were not true and tried to correct that after the fact. He doesn't do that. And so he was sued. These parents got sick and tired of this nonsense, and they filed a legal lawsuit against him. I think a couple of them, if I remember right. And anyway, this week it came out in court that the attorneys for the Sandy Hook parents had been sent inadvertently or accidentally or however it happened. Alex Jones's lawyers sent them digital copies of every single one of Alex Jones's private messages, his text messages on his phone. The whole lot, years worth of stuff. It was all given over to them. And they were like, whoa, did you mean to give us all of this? And apparently they did. So once it was confirmed that this was legit their thing and there weren't any other legal principles getting in the way, the lawyers went to town and they found evidence in those texts of perjury, of Alex Jones lying on the stand about things related to emails and communications connected with the subject, which he had said under oath that didn't exist, or actions he had not taken part in, which he had. And so he was basically busted. And there were some wonderful, there you go. Thank you. There are two more cases. There we go. Thank you. There we go. Speech is free. Lies have to be paid for. I love that quote. That is a great quote. And so he got busted, and he got busted hard to the point where on the stand he had to admit that these Sandy Hook parents had lost their kids, they were not lying, and this was real, and those kids were actually dead. And, it's like, wow, it takes years. And this is the thing that kind of gets my goat about this stuff, is it takes 5 seconds to say whatever bullshit you want to say. It doesn't take anything to just have words come out of your mouth, and they can, no matter what the effect is, people can do this when they have a microphone in front of them. And it takes 5 years to hold them accountable for those words. And evidence and trials and lawyers and hundreds of thousands of dollars of work to call people accountable for those kind of lies. I don't like that system. I don't like the fact that that's the world we live in. I really don't. I think it's wrong. I think that our systems fail us in that regard, in regard to the expense and the speed with which justice can be achieved for people who are the victims of a vicious kind of black PR campaign, you could say. That's what we used to call it in Scientology. About these things, right? Is somebody can go on a mic and they have freedom of speech and they get to say whatever they want. Well, they don't get to say whatever they want, and speech is not consequence-free. And if you're going to be a free speech advocate, then you better goddamn well be ready to accept the consequences of your free speech. You can say whatever you want to, but you better be responsible for it.
Well, libel and slander are not free speech, so...
Well, that's the thing, exactly. And if you're going to go telling vicious lies about people, you better be prepared to face the consequences of that. Oh, excuse me. Got on a little tear. Okay, now we have calls in the queue.
Yeah.
Including somebody who was, we lost the person who came on before the show. Carol, if you want to call back in. Sorry we missed your call when we got on. We had to kind of do that intro stuff, and then we kind of get into the phone calls. So if you want to call back, we're cool with that. Okay, so, okay, maybe this is that call. Anyway, here we go with our first call. Hello, is this Gail? Hello?
Yeah, I didn't expect to be first. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
My phone is echoing. I don't know. Yeah, I can hear you fine. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you just need to lower that background noise just a little bit so we don't get the echo, please.
Yeah, I had lowered it. It's the thing.
Oh, well, we're still
Weird,
hearing that back there. Yeah, I'm not sure what's
I
up.
don't know. Yeah, I lowered it all the way, and I don't know. Maybe my phone's screwing up.
Okay, fair enough. Well, let's see if we can do this. What did you want to call about, Gail?
Can you hear me clearly? I think it's ironic that criminology is supposed to be one of the things Scientology is eliminating, and they're committing crimes constantly. I mean, does it ever occur to them the irony of that? It's just absolutely astonishing. And I really agree with you, what you said about Tom Cruise. I have seen movies in the past when I didn't know about him, like I really liked Magnolia and Rain Man, especially because of Dustin Hoffman, but I will not watch any more films of Tom Cruise. And I agree with you. I don't see why people will just say, well, he's just an actor, blah, blah, blah. But think of what he's doing. I wouldn't run around and support Hitler or Stalin. So, not that he's in the same category. But,
no, it's not exactly the same thing, but your point is well taken.
He's the narcissist.
That's right.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I wondered, have you heard anything about this? This woman in Indiana who's one of Danny Masterson's victims or alleged victims said her house was set on fire.
Oh, my goodness. I did not hear about that. Oh, geez, that's awful.
Yeah, they also said 2 pets were killed.
Those I had heard about. I heard about pets being gone after. Yeah, and that's part of this whole thing. It's awful. And Scientology really doesn't have any bottom to how far down they will go to fair game somebody if they think that person is a threat to them. And Danny Masterson, of course, is a Scientologist, and so he's on board with all that. So, it's vicious. It is actually evil. And I don't know that that's the reason that the house burned down, but at the same time, wow, what a coincidence,
Yeah, I just found it absolutely disgusting, and I love dogs, and you have a cutie. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm a really cute dog.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Gail.
I was just curious because I'm originally from California, but I live in Indiana now, and the woman whose house burned down lives in Indiana also.
Right.
So I was really curious about it. I mean, arson is a crime as far as I'm concerned. Good God. I mean, it's like if they'll do that, they will do anything.
Yeah, they kind of will. That's what cults are all about. That's
anyway,
why we.
That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, that's why we don't like them.
What you said about Tom Cruise, and I understand. And you get every other day there's something. Oh, he's going to quit Scientology. I don't believe any of it.
Yeah, no, don't believe those stories. It's not true. All right. Well, thank you for calling in, Gail. We appreciate your call.
Have a good night. Glad you're feeling well, Melissa.
Thank you.
Yes. Thanks a lot.
Have a great night, guys. Thanks
You
a lot
too.
for taking my call.
You bet. Bye-bye. Awesome. All right, that was cool. And let's pick up Travis. Oh, wait, nope, hang on. There we go. Hello, Travis.
Hello, Chris. Hello, Melissa.
Hello.
Hey, let me see if I can bring this volume up at all. There we go. Let's try that.
Okay.
Okay,
Hey,
there we go. That's
both of you. Good. I'm glad it's better. Hey,
what's up, Travis?
the both of you indicated a moment ago that you had listened to not Scientology. Well, you had listened to Scientology, Chris. I'm talking about Alex Jones.
Yes.
Did I catch that properly?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I used to be Alex Jones guy, as a Sea Org member. So it wasn't like I've never listened to an Alex Jones show, but I watched a few of his DVDs and I went down the conspiracy rabbit hole based on that.
Okay. And Melissa, you too?
Yeah, I used to live with this guy. We dated for a while, and he started going down the rabbit hole, and then I started going down the rabbit hole a little bit too. And we definitely watched some Alex Jones videos and YouTube videos and things like that, and got into it a little bit. So well aware of his.
So, Melissa, that's interesting to me. And how long ago was this in your life, if you don't mind telling us?
Oh God, 2010, 11. Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thanks for sharing that. I'm really surprised that you would have gotten anywhere near any of that. Now, with Chris, this next question is for Chris.
Yep.
You were in Scientology in the Sea Org, and you were watching Alex. Now, did you watch the live web feed?
No,
at all?
never. I've never seen Alex Jones in a live feed.
Okay, so when you got out of the Sea Org, how long before you quit with the Alex Jones stuff?
Oh, I quit when I was still in the Sea Org. I caught on to Alex Jones's act while I was still in.
Good.
Yeah.
And that's really the next step that I wanted to take, or the next question, and I have this for the both of you. Mm-hmm. You called it just now an act, and it is an act. What turned the both of you on individually to the act, as we're calling it? And I'll just listen right now, because I have some follow-up questions.
Absolutely.
Go.
Okay. I'll tell you exactly what happened with me is I've done a whole video on the briefing that we would use, which was a whole series. There were 5 PowerPoint presentations that were used to recruit Sea Org members. And this was the basis of my belief in Alex Jones and all the conspiracy theory crap that I believed in. It was based on this briefing that had been put together by another Sea Org member. In that briefing was a lot of 9/11 truther stuff that the Pentagon, hadn't really been hit by an airplane, or it was very suspicious, looked like explosions, and 9/11 and the buildings, I think it was building 7, the smaller building, and they were only showing it from one side, and there was all this contentious stuff about how it had been purposefully demolished and how it was all an inside job. And what woke me up, what started the path of taking all this apart, was I was on the internet one fine day while I was out doing my recruitment and recovery work as a Sea Org member, and I looked up some 9/11 stuff to substantiate some of the stuff in the briefing that I had. I was just curious and wanted some more data, and in doing that, I saw video footage, camera footage of the other side of the building, and by seeing that, a simple thing, but the data, seeing the other side of the building, you could see very clearly that the building was about to collapse. There was no question about it. The whole thing had fallen apart. And so that kind of raised questions for me about, well, wait a second, they said this, but this video clearly shows. I think it was then that I went to it was Popular Mechanics of all magazines that did a whole debunk on all the 9/11 truther stuff and showed, well, this is what they say, but here's the complete story. And once I realized that a way. It hadn't really occurred to me that by omitting information, you could paint this really false picture. I just hadn't really thought about that as a mechanism before of a lie. And so once I started getting the more complete picture of all the 9/11 truther data, it all started falling apart. It doesn't make any logical sense. These, because you just don't have all the data. And once you get all the data, well, this doesn't fit. This isn't right. This isn't what happened. And that's where the unraveling came from. And once that started, I'm a thinker, I'm a looker, I'm a reader. I can't stop, right? And so I was like, oh my God, look at this, look at this, look at this. And it was like a kind of a domino effect. One after another started falling. And very rapidly from that, I started undoing Alex Jones's work, because he had 2 DVDs we used. One of them was like the Obama agenda or some shit. I can't remember what it was called, but it was directed to Obama. And there was another DVD he had where he had been making claims about FEMA camps and how FEMA, the Federal Emergency whatever administration. Federal Emergency.
What does the M stand for?
Yeah, I don't remember what the M stands for, but
it's the Federal Emergency Management Administration.
That's it, management. That's it, agency. Yeah. He said, this is a video I did see of his. It wasn't live, but I saw it after the fact, where he was advising people to not take vaccines, to not get vaccinated for, I think it was H1N1 or neurovirus or something that was kind of a problem at that time. This was, I think, mid to late 2000s. And again, my hackles went like way up, because when you start advising people not to take vaccines, I kind of lose my shit, because I grew up with a nurse. My mom was a nurse. And if there was one thing we definitely did in my home, it was get vaccinated. And I've grown up with a basic understanding and trust of basic medicine. And so that rankled me. That pissed me off. I was like, wait a minute. He's telling people don't get vaccinated against this epidemic level problem. What are you talking about? And that was my breaking point with him, where I realized he was actually preaching a destructive dogma, not just a bunch of nonsense, but it was actually going to hurt people. And that's where my breakaway point with Alex Jones came. So that's my long answer to a short question.
Yeah, for me.
Great, thank you. And go ahead, Mel. I'm really interested in what you have to say too.
It's kind of similar in a way. Like, I started seeing behavior from him that was sort of strange, and he would say things that were sort of like, I don't know about the vaccines, I don't know about. But then I was watching a YouTube video of this protest one time, and it was a smaller protest. This woman and this man were the ones that were in control of it. They were younger, and they were still learning how to do it all right. And he just shows up uninvited with his megaphone and just starts taking over their protest. And I was just like, this guy's an asshole. And that was like the first time I really started going, this guy's a total asshole. Like, he's a narcissist. He doesn't care about anybody else. He just wants the attention on himself. And then I started looking more and more into him and realizing, yeah, he's just a total asshole and he's full of shit. And I tried to warn my ex about him, but I don't know what he's into now. When we broke up, he was still into conspiracy theories. I don't know if he still is, but
there you go.
Yeah, but that was it for me.
There you go.
I saw how narcissistic he was.
Yeah, I thank you guys for sharing that. I had seen Alex Jones maybe a little bit of his internet show where he's sitting there and it says InfoWars on the back.
Yep.
Here, and I could only stand about 5 minutes because several things popped out. Number one, it doesn't matter how loudly and how confidently somebody says BS, it's still BS. And that's what he was spewing, was Big Macs are made with kangaroo meat.
Right. That's right.
Well, just shouting that doesn't make it true. And where did he get the information? No, he's just asserting it. And then he would move so quickly between points, it doesn't give people the time to think, to assimilate it. And he would use such generalities It could be anything that he was talking about. He would accuse people of being a government agent. Well, what's a government agent? I don't know what a government agent is. Is that a policeman? Is that somebody? Is that a janitor?
It's a man. It's a man in black with the black helicopter.
It is a man in black,
around,
indeed. Right, and so a lot of these things were adding up. Like, well, it's one of the 3-letter agencies.
Yeah, alphabet agencies.
Okay, you mean like the USA?
Yeah, right.
And one of the last thing I'll point out is simply because something hasn't been shown to be false doesn't mean it's potentially true. And that's the one thing that his listeners or viewers don't understand. Is simply because he can't, the government has, you can't go online and show it to be false, doesn't mean that it's actually possible. He actually has to show that these things are possible.
Yep.
And he doesn't do it.
Nope.
No, it's just an accusation, and it's similar to the God of the Gaps fallacy, if any of you guys follow this, and like, well, we can't explain this. We can't explain why the universe is here, therefore God did it.
That's right. That's right. And it's leaping to an unwarranted conclusion based on no real facts. You're connecting dots that don't really connect.
Right. It's the God of the Gaps fallacy, but it's the man in black, as you just said. Or,
that's right.
Depends on what your viewpoint is. Okay. By the way, here's the joke question of the night. Do you think Kids Bop is a sign of a decaying culture?
Do I think what is a sign?
Kids Bop. The the CDs for kids where they take regular music and sanitize it for children, like Top 40 Hits. Have you ever heard that?
I have not heard of it, but your description
sounds terrible.
Makes me wonder. Yeah. Yes, I'll say that's a sign of a decaying civilization.
Right?
Well, tell you what, if don't watch it sober. Go to the store, get some tequila, and watch comedy before and then after, so that your mind isn't warped by Kids Bop videos online. Trust me, you'll regret watching Kids Bop.
Okay, good.
But never mind.
Thanks for the recommend.
All right, thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
You're welcome.
Bye, man. All right, and let's drop that.
Just make kids music. Why do we have to?
I know. I know. Why? Okay, now I believe this is one of our favorite people. Is this Henny?
It is. Hello, good evening. The two of my favorite people, hello. And hello to all the critics. Hi, Melissa.
Hello.
Hey, Henny, what's up
How
tonight?
are you, darling? Oh, listen, just seeing the two of you together is making my heart just skip a beat. And the new edition of Benson, I cannot tell you how I am. I'm just so glad for you. And really, what a wonderful addition to the family.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. We really do feel so lucky to have found him. And, we realized pretty quickly that this was going to be a little harder than we thought to get the kind of dog and the situation, everything we wanted. And then once we actually really got kind of serious about it, he just fell right into our lap.
Yeah.
It was right. It was very quick. So we were very happy about that. Feel very lucky.
I'm glad for you too.
Thank
Listen, feline is very different than canine.
Yep.
It really is, man. They need a lot more. Yeah. Then
they're not as independent.
We were up every couple hours the first night. We were like, okay, this is wow.
You're lucky it's summer. Wait till winter. And you're freezing your balls off. Oh my God! Listen, it happens. It's okay. There's nothing like an animal. I don't care what animal it is. Anything on 4 legs makes me so happy, and I'm so happy for you too.
Thank you.
Okay. So, thank you. And please, the jokes and the pictures, I really appreciate, okay?
You bet.
Especially at this time. Thank you so much. And Melissa, welcome back.
Oh,
okay.
Thank you.
So, thank you, sweetheart. It's so lovely to see you. Now, listen, we were talking about, love and cults and cults.
Yeah,
and love,
I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Yeah, what you got?
Well, it's all very similar to me. I'm losing my mind, but it's all really it's quite the thing. And I wanted to just say that I know you were talking about different things and different issues, but I don't know if you know that I think it's Joel Olsen rented out Yankee Stadium, or not rented. I mean, I guess he paid for it. You know? Do you know about that?
No, Joel Osteen. Are we talking about him?
Listen, all I know it's that guy who preaches religion with his wife. Okay, I think his name is Joel Olsen or Olstein or
Joel Osteen.
I don't know what.
Yeah, the mega church guy down in Texas, I think.
Okay.
I think I know who you're talking about. Big, huge, smiley face all the time.
Yeah.
Writes
Talking
motivational
about
books. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yep.
He got Yankee Stadium.
Wow.
Do you hear me?
Wow.
Yankee Stadium. You know, my mind is just, you know, I'm not well, but I mean, I'm trying so hard, you know? And when I see something like this, I'm like, you got to be kidding. Do you remember there's a movie? I don't remember the name of it, but Tom Hanks says, there's no crying in baseball. Well, I think to myself,
yes.
Thank you. Come here, Chris. I'm giving you the high five, okay? And the fist pump, okay? I'm thinking to myself, there's no religion in baseball. And am I crazy? Oh, please help me. You know, I understand sometimes the guys, they go up there, they cross themselves before they hit the ball, and then they just strike out, right? Okay, whatever. It's. I can't believe what's going on, and the massiveness of it. And I assume they sold out every seat. And it's just, to me, you know, listen. You know, my mom had said to me, Corinne, they make so much money. If they would have sold out every seat and said, you know what, for the people who are starving, and use the word starving instead of, let me see what she said. What do they call it now, Chris? Please help me. Food, they call it, everything has a name. You're not a janitor, you're a janitor. Yeah,
you're like a custodial engineer or something.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Well, they call it food something or other.
Insecure or something.
Food. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Melissa. Okay, thank
food
you, Melissa.
insecure. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
food insecurity. There we go. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they call it something along those lines instead of saying the fucking truth. I'm sorry, okay? I'd rather be slap with the truth than kiss with a lie.
Yeah,
I don't want to be.
I think you and I are a little old school that way.
Yeah, I really.
Yeah.
I don't have the tolerance, the patience, and the heat is really getting to me, Chris. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, food insecurity.
Wasn't it like that was like they were renaming slavery and what were they calling it down there in Texas?
Yes.
Forced immigration or something.
Something like that.
Some
Yeah.
nonsensical.
Exactly.
Like See, the problem is when it feels like you're sanitizing this concept with the language, you start wondering, wait a second, what's going on here? You know, slavery is slavery.
Yeah,
and kids
you start
get it,
realizing.
you know.
Yeah, you're realizing that you're being bullshitted.
You're right. Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
I'm sorry. Okay. Food insecure, that's what they call it, okay?
Yeah.
Food insecure has nothing to do with starvation. You look at the people from the Holocaust, you understand starvation.
Yeah, I would not say the people in the Holocaust were food insecure.
Right.
Food insecure, thank you, Chris. Again, a high five and a high pump, okay? Really. But they change everything. Okay, so as Corinne pointed out, if they were to say, okay, for the people who are starving, we're going to give half the money that we received for every ticket tonight, okay? Because God wants you to eat. How about that?
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
But they're not going to say that. They're not going to say that. And that's what makes me sick to my stomach.
Me too.
That's what makes me sick.
Yeah.
And I don't like the Yankees getting involved.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really don't. If they want to do it at a hotel, that's the hotel's privilege, okay? But Yankee Stadium, it's just like, I have to say, listen, I'm going to take a little time tonight. Whatever, I need it. And I talk fast anyway. During COVID, the Yankees put up cardboard people. And they copied it from other stadiums that were doing that. So half of their people had masks, and half of them didn't. Okay? So I called the Yankee Stadium itself, okay, because I was furious. And I said, listen, this is a baseball game for children, and you are not to use mixed messages with children. You either have everybody wear a mask, or you have everybody don't wear a mask. I don't give a shit which you pick, but pick something. Because a mixed message is not something that we want to, as a baseball franchise, you know what I mean? Or business. We don't want to portray that to the children. We want them to know where we stand as baseball. And, you know, the next day, they had the tarp on, and there was no more cardboard people. And my friend said to me, you know, you probably did that. And we laughed, you know. I said, yeah, right. You know? But, I mean, you know, I don't understand why they are doing that. I don't understand why they are doing that. They really shouldn't. Religion and baseball should not miss.
It's money.
It's definitely money.
Penny. It's just money. That's all.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Of course.
Well, it still doesn't make me feel any better.
Oh no, and it's because it's not a very moral reason. It's money, you know. Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
The whole thing. Everybody's welcome. Yeah, right. Okay. And you know, I just don't believe in what they believe in, and it's okay to not believe in what other people believe in. But it's one thing to have a whole stadium dedicated to that. I mean, make it another place of, you know, I don't know, maybe a musical forum or something like that where they have plays and shows and music and different things. Not the Yankees, man. Okay. So I'm getting off.
I can see as a New Yorker, you are very upset by this.
Yeah, well, I don't appreciate that.
I get it.
I don't appreciate that.
Yeah, makes sense.
I don't. So anyway, as far as love and cults go, I guess that pretty much says it all, right? Everybody loves that. So that's why they're filling up those stadiums.
That's right.
I love the Yankee game. And, you know, I occasionally go to a Yankee game, and that's why I'll pay for that, you know? I have one more really funny thing to say to you, and then I'll let you go.
Yep. What you got?
You got the last call you had was about something about Tom Cruise, and I'm very happy about the way that things are going. By the way, with just, you know, the shit hitting the fan. It's long overdue. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, with Scientology and justice and, you know, subpoenas and everything else, it's quite an education into it if people will look and see what's out there. I forgot what I was going to say. So on that note,
well, drop it in the comments for us.
I will. I promise.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks, Henny.
All right. You guys have a great night. I'm listening to the show.
Excellent.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Cool deal. All right. So that was our cue right now. I'll just check on the comments here, make sure I'm not missing anything really important. Okay. Okay.
To that comment earlier about no North Americans are starving, don't forget Mexico is part of North America. And yes, there are plenty of regular old Americans in the USA that are starving.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, starvation is a thing. The ability of a person to starve in this country is significantly less right? The potential and the support work and framework of that is more there in this first world country than it is in many other countries and other continents and areas of the world. But please don't kid yourself that people are not starving in this country, because they are. And with things exacerbating right now, in terms of climate, temperature, economy, etc., cost of things, right? This continues to be a problem, and it just is. It's just a fact that is a problem. So let's just kind of acknowledge that for what it is. All right. Nice comment, Red Pill. Okay. Yeah, they suffer consequences from obesity as well, but really, seriously, starvation happens here. It really does. Okay. Not to the degree that it happens in other places. And thankfully, by the way, on that note on starvation, thankfully, we are living in times where, the graphs are going up and up and up in terms of being able to feed more and more people with the resources that we've got. But we're kind of racing headlong into a situation where we don't know how much longer that's going to be going on with all the other crap going on right now. And I mean, for example, the Ukraine, right? Breadbasket of Europe. Not now. We got problems. And that's going to affect Africa, Europe, Russia, us. I mean, that's a problem. So, just saying.
Homeless people, Robert Roberts.
Yeah. Okay. Now, we need to spend some time here, because we're in the last 15 minutes of the show, on the topic of the show.
Yeah.
Okay. Love. We want to talk about love. Now, the reason, of course, that this was on my mind, as you mentioned it earlier today.
Yeah.
And I got to thinking, of course, about our new edition.
Yeah.
And the feelings that I have. And, I don't, not everything on my channel and show is all, fact, evidence-based stuff. Sometimes I get the feels, too. And I like to talk about them. And in this particular case, the love that one feels for a new family member, whether it's an animal or person or whatever, is a really wonderful thing. It's a wonderful experience. And it's one I haven't felt in a while. When we fell in love, that was years ago. And you get married, and there's the phases of that. And we're still, very much in love. But you all know how it changes and phases over
time,
and you go from that whole, springtime, love is in the air, and it's all, Well, I wanted to talk about that in relation to cults, okay? And we've done a couple shows about this. Alexander Stein, if you are looking for the actual science of this and some of the psychology of it, she's done some really stellar work. She was on my podcast a few weeks ago, and she wrote a book called Love, Terror, and Brainwashing, where she goes into, some level of detail about trauma bonding and how love is part of that. It's not all just hate and terror and abuse. It's alternated with, reward or feelings of goodness or love. And that's how narcissistic relationships drag out, domestic violence situations drag out, is because it's not all bad. Same with a cult experience. Why would I stay in Scientology for 27 years if it was all bad? Well, it clearly wasn't. There were lots of good times and lots of times where there was feelings of awe, euphoria, adoration, and what we might call love. And it's not a stretch of a metaphor to say that when you join a cult, you fall in love with the cult. That's the kind of headspace that people are often in that whole honeymoon phase beginning stages of being in a cult. There is these very powerful emotional experiences that people have, and that's the hook. And it's not everybody who has those experiences, and those who don't get hooked. But those who, fall into that whole thing, that's no good, right? And how do we differentiate that? Well, I'm kind of talking from my own experience here, but more so than trying to, quote scientific studies. But I wanted to kind of throw out there for you guys, or see what you thought about this, in terms of there's an obsessive compulsive component to the love that a person experiences in a cult situation. And I will say, even in a coercive, controlling situation, like a domestic, partnership where you have a narcissistic partner who is alternately kind and then cruel, and kind and cruel, and then cruel, and then a little kind, and then cruel some more, and then kind a little bit, and then cruel again. Like it starts becoming a bit of a disparity, but the kindness or the love or whatever keeps popping up, and it's that irregularity of it that you are chasing that keeps you in that relationship, because you first off will start off with, and this goes in a cult too, same dynamics. You take on responsibility for the cruelty, right? You're being abused, you're being treated badly, but it's your fault. You're sure it's your fault. I burned the dinner. I left the window open. I didn't pay for the gas. Whatever the thing is, you're telling yourself as to why it is you deserve this abuse. And so the kindness or the adoration or the love that you're chasing or looking for becomes obsessive and compulsive. You need it. And you really want it, right? And you're chasing it, and you will do anything for it. And I wanted to point that part out as, if there's any way in here, if there's any kind of like red flag or indication or sign that you might be in a situation that's not so great for you and actually destructive for you, it could be that those feelings of chasing it, of obsessing about it, of thinking about it all the time. What did I do wrong? How did I do it wrong? Oh my God, I need to do better next time. And it's all on you. And even those feelings, it's all on me, how they're treating me. No, it's not. That's just not, that's not a healthy relationship. It's not a healthy, in a group or with an individual. It's not healthy at all for you to be obsessing over the other person's feelings about you and their actions toward you when they are unkind, cruel, or abusive, right? Those actions need to be called out for what they are: unkind, cruel, and abusive, and not mixed up into this other nonsense. Is that Benson? We have dogs next door, and we can't. It sounds like it's coming from next door. I think it's all good.
Yeah.
You're probably not picking it up on the mic.
No, but
okay. So these are really important points here, right? Is this obsessive compulsive component? When that starts rearing its ugly head, something's off, and it needs to be dealt with. And the only way that I know how to advise people to deal with this kind of thing, if it comes up in your life in some fashion, is to talk about it openly, to communicate about it. Shout it from the damn rooftops if you have to, but somehow broach that topic. Have that conversation. Bring it up. Don't sit on it. Don't introvert into it. Don't think it's all on you. The other person, when it's a narcissist or an abuser or a predator, we don't even have to go into the psych stuff, right? Just predatory people, cultic situations. They are not, both of those, nobody's interested in what you have to say about it. They don't want to talk about it. It's just you, right? If that's popping up, run away from that situation, because that's not a good situation for you. If you are in a domestic partnership, marriage, or a group, and there is a refusal to communicate, there is a refusal to acknowledge wrongness, it's always on you, it's never on them, run away from that situation, because that's predatory, right? And that kind of thing is a red flag for lots and lots of other things that are very likely already happening or are going to happen to you if you allow that if they allow that level of abuse. What else will you allow, right? Chasing after that emotional high that hooked you into it in the first place, right? So that's kind of the message I wanted to make on that, right? Just looking at some of the comments here. I don't know. How's the feedback on this?
Well, I like this one that Robert said isn't trauma bonding a part of normal marriages as well? Every married couple I know talk about ups and downs and fights they've had.
Oh, sure.
that would cause non-married people to walk away. I mean, what would you say about that?
Yeah, I would say that it's not trauma bonding, right?
Okay.
The ups and downs of a relationship are very different from what I'm talking about. So let me clarify. Thank you for bringing that up, Robert. There is no such thing as a perfect relationship without error or accident or problems or disagreements or upsets or even fights. We've had plenty.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It's not that you're going to always get along. You're always going to be on the same page. You're going to see things eye to eye. There's nothing wrong with having disagreements or problems or even fights. It's how do you deal with them? And when you deal with them, is it over? Is it done? And you can move on. And it doesn't keep coming up. And most importantly, is the other person willing to acknowledge their responsibility for their part in the process? Because if it's, and I tried to stress this earlier, let me say this again. If it's always on you and it's never on them, and they never messed up, and you always are the one messing up, that's where the trauma bonding kind of situation of the pattern of abuse and kindness and all that, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about here. I am not at all talking about the regular ups and downs of a relationship. Healthy relationships are communicative, emotional, supportive, mutually supportive, loving, right? And there is kindness, and there is understanding. There is compassion, passion together, right? That's where that word comes from. So that's the kind of thing that is all the signs of a healthy relationship. Just because you're having a squabble, disagreement, or even a fight doesn't mean your relationship is a narcissistic or abusive relationship. But if it's all one-sided, or it tends to always go in this one direction where one partner is always responsible and the other one never is, or in a group situation, getting back to the cults, the group's always right and you're always wrong. And if you have a problem with that, you need to figure out your problem, because we didn't do anything wrong. We never do anything wrong. You just didn't understand. You didn't follow the directions. You were out ethics. You are immoral. You are just a bad person. You are morally compromised. The moral plane is where they go in all the time, because all of us walk around with, guilt over things we've done, and you can push those buttons very easily in somebody. So does that clarify that at all? I hope it does. Okay, let's see here. Eat fiber. All right, well, I'm not hearing back on that, but I wanted to put that out there. There we go. Definitely believe relationship problems can be measured by degree of conflict, not absolutes. Yeah. Okay, fair. Was there love in the Sea Org? Yeah, there was. Of course there was. I very much loved my first wife. I fell madly in love with her, and for 17 years I stuck with it, right? But the environment was not supportive of that. And that's the problem with the Sea Org, and the problem with cults in general, is that they are not supportive of your individual needs and your emotional needs. They they paint a facade of caring, but once you step past that facade, that all disappears, and the mission becomes the most important thing. Or compliance with the group's demands becomes the most important thing, or your money becomes the most important thing. These are the frameworks that cults are built on. And so they might acknowledge love, talk about love. L. Ron Hubbard gave lectures on the topic of love as though he knew anything about it. And he wrote papers and there was a whole book in Scientology called The Second Dynamic, all about relationship advice and help for people who were in, and raising kids too was part of that book. But Hubbard was a complete monster when it came to all of that. Serial philanderer, abuser, forced abortions. I mean, the man was an absolute monster to each of his wives. How Mary Sue put up with it for all those years, I have no idea. Except I know she really loved those kids. And I think that's what kept her going more than anything. Anyway.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Yeah.
Did you have anything you wanted to say about all that? I just went on a whole roll there.
No, I think you covered it all pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. All right.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to eclipse anything you had to say on any of that. Did you want to read your quote?
Oh, yeah, my quote. Yeah.
She has a great quote about this.
It's about love, about
there we go.
sort of romantic love.
Yep.
Love is friendship that has caught fire. It is quiet understanding, mutual confidence, sharing and forgiving. It is loyalty through good and bad times. It settles for less than perfection and makes allowances for human weaknesses. And that's good old Ann Landers.
Not bad. Not bad. Puts a lot of what I was just saying into better words.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, wow. I cannot believe an hour has already passed.
I know.
Damn, this was quick. Damn. This was a fast show tonight. All right, let's do our critical thinking cards here. And, of course, this is our deck of critical thinking cards. They don't pay me for this. I am promoting them anyway because these are awesome. And this is a deck of cards laying out logical fallacies and cognitive biases. What is our card for this week?
Well, I think we've done this before, but your bias is spotlight effect. You overestimate how much people notice how you look and act. Instead of worrying about how you're being judged, consider how you're making others feel. They'll notice this much more, and you'll also be making the world a better place.
Huh. Well, there you go. Some pretty handy critical thinking advice for you.
Most people are thinking about themselves, not you anyway, so.
Well, got that right. Yeah, think about how often in your mind you're thinking about other people compared to yourself and project that onto other people because that's kind of the reality of it. They're not out there thinking about you any more than you're thinking about all of them. Anyway, good times. Unless your name is Chris Shelton, I'm thinking about you guys all the time. All right, guys. I think that's all we got for the show. Yeah. All right. So thank you very much for coming around. Podcast tomorrow is just a talk between a friend of mine and I about extremism and totalist thinking that kind of it continues after you get out of a cult situation and get into, say, an atheist or skeptic group. And some of us in some of the social media groups have run into some kind of weird behavior from ex-members. What's that kind of about? We have a whole talk about it tomorrow, so I hope you'll give that a listen. And we will have critical Q&A on Sunday as usual. All right, so see you guys later.
Good night.
All right. Bye-bye.